Hello, hello. Thank you for joining me again. Today is Weights on Your Plate, Part 1, but take 2. Sorry for the technical difficulties last night. They did smooth out about the 15-minute mark in, but many of you were unable to stick around. So tonight, I'm going to redo Part 1, which is some basic intros. Why would you like to use weights on your plate? And I'm really excited to share a couple of new products tonight, specific to adding weight on your plate, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to share this out to VIP world. If you are joining me, I'm starting to see a few of you ping through. Please let me know if you can see and hear me on the other end. Know in advance, there's a little bit of a delay with the stream from the time that I say something or you may type something and it comes through on the other end, anywhere from about 20 seconds to a minute, depending on where you're joining me from. I am going to invite some questions at the end of today's session as well. So if you have questions, please leave them to the end of the session when my old eyes can get closer to the screen, and I'll take a closer look at you there. Tonight, you can see that I'm wearing some new body armor. This is the new FlexVest, and I'm going to start talking a little bit about this today. I'm going to drop the two products into the comments here, and if someone could let me know if they're seeing and hearing me okay, I would appreciate that. So I'm going to hit enter on that. I can see and hear fine. Hey Cindy, nice to see you. I'm glad you made it. Perfect. So I see a few of you are here, so that tells me things are working. I'm going to close up Facebook because I was terribly delayed last night, and here I am. Okay. So this is one of two new products today that I'm going to talk about, and each of the products have a variation. So the variation is, first off, with the FlexVest, I am wearing the women's size, and there is a difference in the size. So, don't think of it as a male or female necessarily, but, if you've got bigger shoulders, you want a little bit more room. You're large in the chest. The measurements for each of the vests are in the links if you want to take a little bit closer at the per inches measurements. But the basis of, I've got the men's set up here behind me. They've got some really cool reflective material. A weighted vest, if you've never used a weighted vest, before we even talk about incorporating it with the vibration plate, a weighted vest is a great tool, adding weights or adding mass to your body frame for any kind of body exercises, body weight exercises. You're going to build stronger, better muscle and bone. You're going to boost your power, your stamina, your energy levels. If you are looking at losing some weight, toning up, adding mass to your day-to-day or your specific exercise routine, it's going to boost the metabolism. So if fat loss, weight loss is the goal, that's a key component. And, adding mass to your frame is going to reduce your risk of injury. You're going to be stronger, less sprains, less strains. And it does long-term, of course, lead to less chronic issues and better health overall. So adding weights, weights is more talking about maybe product specific. I talk a lot about increasing your mass while you're on a vibration plate. So starting with the vest, this is a great tool with the reflective strips where I went off on my tangent. Maybe you walk, maybe you jog, maybe you do those types of things, and adding mass to your frame, ankle weights, hand weights, a weight vest is a great way to make the muscles perform the same task you always perform, but in a way where they're having to work a little harder. Those bones are going to get stronger. Those muscles are going to get stronger. They're going to do what you require them to do. So this is a very simple, there's a couple of different adjustment points. So the first adjustment point is up here, and you can make it, longer or shorter in this area. Okay. Around the waist, and you don't want this like so tight that you can't breathe. Okay. So you can see this when you're putting this on. I recommend fitting this first. I put it on the back of a bar stool is how I adjusted it for myself. And then you'll kind of see it's common sense with where the Velcro goes. Of course, just think the logo needs to be on the outside. So you're going to take my right, your left on camera, and you just line up the Velcro. And it may take you, a wiggle or two until you decide what's comfortable. I like to have room to put my hands, when I'm doing certain exercises, I like to have a little bit of room, depending on the exercises that you're doing. If you're doing like, I don't know, like downward dogs or, shoulder presses, and it's falling into your face, you may need to adjust. And it's very easy to adjust this on the fly. If I did want to do something tighter, I just simply tighten her up a bit more, and it's going to stay in place. So things to think about. Okay. So I'm going to loosen that back up. So the women's flex vest is what you'll see on the site. Check the dimensions. It's 15 pounds. The men's is 5 pounds heavier. It comes in at 20, and it is a larger fit. And the men's and the women's come with their own set of ankle weights, wrist weights, their weights. They're an additional 5 pounds each. So just by picking them up, when I get into my demo here on the plate, you can add an additional 10 pounds to your frame. You can strap them onto your ankles. These themselves, they're really nice. There's double stitching around the edges. It's a neoprene. The sand, I guess it would be, are sewn into strips, so they're staying in place. I've got some where they kind of slide all over the place, and there's a huge, very robust Velcro strap that just simply goes through the metal buckle, tighten her up. You could even do like curls with them. So you can put those around your ankle. You can put them around your wrists. This is going to be for those of you that are maybe just starting out with weights. I also like using weighted vests and any kind of weight that straps onto your body and doesn't require you to hang on to it. If you are dealing with grip strength issues, you got some really bad arthritis going on in the hands and the wrists and the shoulders. Sometimes when you have grip strength issues, a weight vest or weights that strap onto your body are just easier to work with. They're easier to incorporate into your exercises until things improve on the function side. So let's do some examples of on the plate. And I want to do one basic exercise, of course, the squat. But we're going to do a couple different variations. And today is very much kind of the intro, the beginner to a degree. And tomorrow night, we're going to do a little bit more of an advanced total body, get down on the ground, do some planks and such. But for now, I want to appeal to those of you that are just getting started. I've done a gazillion, how do I get started on my vibration plate type videos? 2 lessons, your amplitude is more shake. Closer is less shake. If you're dealing with anything chronic at all, reduce the intensity. So bring your feet a little bit closer, more like hip width apart. If you're working with weights for the first time, the nice thing about weighted vests is, you can still just kind of focus on your posture. I love, give me some feedback if you like this mirror, right? Because even me, sometimes I get so distracted looking at my feet and talking to you. See, you want to make sure that you've got a good engaged core, those shoulders are back, and just kind of get used to how the increase of that, in this case, 15 pounds, if you go 20 with the men's, you're going to feel even just in your standing exercises that those legs are they're pushing a little bit more than they normally would. They're working a little harder. So if you do have goals like weight loss and better bones and better muscles and all those types of things, I just had a conversation, and that my apologies for being a couple minutes late, but when people say things to me like, well, I do 15 minutes with max setting and max intensity, well, can I go longer? Well, why do you want to go longer? Adding mass is also, and I did not talk about this yesterday, so I've been picking my brain all day. It's so awesome to get a redo on a session once in a while. But adding weight is also a great way to get those muscles to fatigue faster. So if weight loss is the goal, strength is the goal, obviously standing is not going to accomplish as much on the fitness side as perhaps a light squat, or even better, a mean squat. But without even having to add anything to my hands, I'm doing a more challenging exercise. I'm requiring the big muscle groups in the thighs and the glutes to work harder, but I've also got 15 more pounds that they have to support. They have to keep upright on this plate. So a weight vest is almost like the ultimate compliment when you're working with a vibration plate. And I've talked about weights before. It really depends on the type of exercises that you like to do, you see yourself doing, the ones you're working towards. Maybe it's a matter of just incorporating it into the workout that you're doing now. So you'll notice when I did my squat, I wasn't moving. For those of you that are using a weight vest because you want to improve things, but the function isn't there, sometimes movement, dynamic movement in those squats, if you got really bad knees or hips or ankles, movement is sometimes the reason we can't get those muscles to the level of fatigue to start improving them. So by holding still, you can focus a little bit more on good positioning. Are the knees in alignment? Are the feet good and solid? You want most of the weight on the heels. Are you feeling it in the quads? If you're feeling it in the shins more so, see myself in the mirror. When you shift that weight off the heels towards the ball of the feet and the toes, the front of the legs are supporting the mass. And, if you ever feel sore, like shin splinty in the front, that's a common way that your body tries to make it easier. Keep those heels planted and just hold until you can't hold no more. If you find, you don't need to do a 10, 15-minute workout. Some of us don't have time. We got other things to do, or, I'd rather spend more time stretching and massaging. So if your fatigue is like, I could go all day long, Debbie, add more mass. Add these to your ankles, your arms, or simply just pick them up. Let's do that squat again. It's harder. Yeah. I'm holding an extra 25 pounds on top of this now. And you guys don't even know that I walked miles and miles at some outdoor wildlife park in the wind today for homeschool with my daughter. So my legs are really? We're not just going to massage like we normally do? No, today we're doing a workout. So just by adding that extra 10 pounds, I couldn't hold it as long. Yeah, maybe I've done one rep, but this is a great way if you are dealing with arthritic issues, you've got cardiac issues, cardiac health, where you're just so tired all the time and you don't have any wind, and HIIT training, a lot of times your therapists may be telling you high intensity, low in duration. This is the kind of stuff they're talking about. And through these wonderful micro movements that a vibration plate offers you, they're going to make the muscles do more in less time. You're going to fatigue in less time. So the whole goal of weight loss, bone building, muscle, whatever the big fitness goals are, it's not about how long you do it, what setting you do it at. It's making sure that for you personally, you get those muscles to a point where you're done. You want to quit. And if you are dealing with chronic issues or managing symptoms of any kind, sometimes traditional exercise, it's not that you can't do it, but you can't get your muscles to a point, in the same ratio of the knee or the hip giving out, or the back or the shoulder. So let's move on a little bit. So that's one example. For those of you that are maybe, you want to pick things up, we got to make up for some, bad bone density results, or, we're starting to feel confident, but for whatever reason, we don't want to stand on the plate. You could also do lunges. There's lots of videos I've done on, partial body parts on the machine where you're minimizing perhaps, you've got an injury on this side and you're trying to condition one side, or maybe you're rehabbing one side, or maybe you just have sensitivities, right? And you want to strengthen, isolate, and target one side. So, again, I've got extra 15 pounds on my mass. I love adding extra weight to my lunges. These ankle weights are awesome. You can just rest one right over your quad. And you'll find it depends where you hold the mass. So now I'm feeling my back quad going, what are we doing? We're too close to the wall. We can't stay still. But we got to look good on camera. So I got to stick it anyways. So, it depends on, maybe you're using your plate in a seated fashion where you're sitting on a stool and you're just not maybe quite ready to put both feet on the plate yet. There's lots of ways that you can graduate and, target one side, get stronger until you personally have, a level of comfort standing on the plate with both feet. That's a common concern for some folks lately, not necessarily because the machine is harmful to the upper region, but if you've got a sensitivity, what happens on a vibration plate is you tend to guard and protect, and you're rigid and you're not fluidly allowing your body to accept the movement and the flow of the energy wave essentially that it's exposing you to. So just chill. And if you do find that you're resisting and it's not comfortable standing, it's hard for you to bend your knees. Sometimes starting seated or starting with one leg on the plate is a great way to just get a little bit more body mass on, but we're not quite committed with both feet yet, if that makes sense. That type of a thing will work equally well with the next product I want to talk about. So the FlexVest, again, we have two sizes. Measurements are in the link that I mentioned. 20 pounds and 15 pounds is the one I'm wearing. And each size, it comes with two additional 5-pound ankle and or wrist weights. So awesome value there. And I think you will find, again, like I say, if you're doing lots of body weight exercises, if you do walking, these aren't something that have to plug into the wall, any of the weights that I'm working with today. And sometimes if all you do is your vibration plate workout, it's a great way to mix things up. Maybe the weather's nicer and it's time to start going for walks. I think hubby and I can strap these on. He's away for another week or two, but what a great thing to add on when you're walking the dog, just to make things work a little bit more for you, make yourself a little stronger. So the next one I'm going to talk about is the PowerStone. And, okay, can you hear that? Okay, so I want to get up close and personal. This is the PowerStone, and there is also the PowerStone Boulder. This one that I have here, very much like the adjustable dumbbells and the Triform that Lifepro already offers. The Triform has an adjustable dumbbell attachment for that barbell setup. This is a kettlebell. This is its own thing. And I was rambling about this yesterday in my not so great session. I love how much space there is on the handle. I have little hands, but I still have about an inch of room here. My other kettlebell set, I have to overlap a couple of fingers to put both hands on it when I'm doing those type of exercises, which I commonly do on the plate. So this comes with a base. The base has some little rubber feet, so it's not scraping up your surface. But this has different adjustment points. So it has, it says it's a 7-in-1 system. So the bell itself is 1. And then you can adjust it for an additional 3.5, 7, 10, set it for 13, 16, 19.5, and 22.5. The other size has variations, and it's upstairs, and I wasn't hauling it downstairs. I couldn't get it downstairs. It's 44.5 pounds, which is normally not a problem for me, but I'd forgotten several other things up and down the stairs, so I left it. But there are two sizes. If you do go into the link on the site there, you can easily take a look at the differences between the two. And, oh, hang on. Okay, so there's really only one way to use this. Once it's sat and seated on the base, it very easily glides between the adjustments. My kids have been playing with this. It kind of sounds like a half clock. So there's a red kind of little arrow. So I've got it right now set at the 3.5. Listen, click, fit. That's 10, 13, 16, 19.5, and 22.5. So a little over 22. So if you were to change your exercise, maybe you want more weight. I'm going to bring this up to about, I'm going to bring it up to about 13, probably a little more than I got left in me. So the kettlebell with addition, I'm still got the vest on. But what I like about the kettlebell is it's a really good tool if you are trying to develop hand strength. The range of motion isn't there. So getting down the ground and doing push-ups and things of that nature aren't necessarily in the cards yet for you. And I like the fact that, it doesn't take up a whole lot of real estate. You can have this thing fairly close by, and if you're into your move and you find, I wish I would have taken a little more, or maybe you wish you had taken a little less, you can easily step down, make your adjustment, and get back up on the plate. I wanted you to see it on camera, but I've been using this I put it on a table in front of the plate for me, so I've just been doing my adjustment this way. But my favorite way to use kettlebells on a plate, and I've done this for a number of years, this one's a little bit larger because of the adjustment points, but again, with that, you get this larger handle, and I really like, I said yesterday, I think ergonomics is the word. It's very ergonomically friendly on my hands. I like having both hands flat and having a good solid grip. So it's going to improve grip strength just by hanging on to the darn thing. But on your plate, you're going to notice, of course, now I've added an additional 13 pounds to my 15-pound vest. My legs are feeling it at this point, and I like to rest. I don't know if you can see in the camera there. I like to rest the kettlebell just above the knees. I've done it with the smaller swirl yoga wheel and a ball. But for those of you that are always doing this kind of thing, okay, this is a great way to just keep an eye on alignment. You want to make sure the posture is there. So we've got a nice straight spine, that core is engaged. And that initial static squat that we started on with just the vest, let's repeat with the kettlebell. So we're going to go down and just hold 2, 3, 4, depending on you. And then stand back up. Try not to stand so tall that you're feeling it in the head. Bend the knees just a little bit so you don't really feel it past that collarbone. Okay, it's not easier, but you're going to be done quicker. You're going to fatigue quicker. So, if you're coming from a place of fatigue, chronic pain, insomnia, you got to do the work. You got to do the exercise, but it doesn't need to be some big half, 3/4 of an hour ordeal. It certainly can be, but I'd have to say my favorite reason for adding weights is it pushes my fatigue time. What type of weight you like to use to increase your mass and make your muscles work harder, it is really going to vary based on you, your living room, your preference, and then what moves you're doing. In a dream world, we'd have it all, right? Okay. So I've been having lots of fun with that. I haven't pulled out the big one on the machine yet. I have been playing with it upstairs. That's why it's not located on the premises. But depending on you and what you're looking at using your vibration plate for, I think you're going to find there's lots and lots of different ways that incorporating simple little weights, whether it's the vest or the PowerStone, the kettlebell, it could easily be, that little extra bit that you've been looking for as opposed to going longer. Sometimes, you like your moves and you like your routine and you don't want to keep changing the exercises. Maybe you're good at them. Or it should be something that you enjoy. You're going to be more consistent at doing it. If you are the type of person that likes to get down on the ground and do dynamic exercises, I will be doing a more advanced session tomorrow. I'm going to be incorporating the same exercises, but I'm going to make it a little bit harder and harder. And I'm going to incorporate both the boulder and I'm going to wear the vest again. And depending on how my legs feel after today, I may strap these bad boys on too. So adding weights on your plate is absolutely something you should think about. It's the greatest way to, simply add a lot more benefit without a lot of change and adaptability for in most cases, minimal investment. Both of these products are 30% off right now on Lifepro site directly, and they are both available. And they were both in stock before I went live. I wanted to make sure there's nothing worse than everybody getting excited about something and I get you more excited and then all of a sudden it sold out so quick. So 30% off right now, special launch price, either size, either device. So check that out. And tomorrow, if you are joining me, range of motion will be required. We're going to be getting down on the ground. Like I said, do some planks. I want to show you some core work with the vest and with the plate. Oh, mama, help me. We can't do everything all the time as trainers. And I'm sitting here going, when's the last time I used a kettlebell for crunches while I was wearing a weight vest? Been a really long time. So if anything, come for the entertainment value tomorrow night, because I will be attempting that. So thank you guys for joining me tonight. I want to come and just see if we do have any questions. Hello, Brenda. How are you doing? Thank you for joining me tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed some of the visuals. It doesn't always have to be this big elaborate thing. Adding weights while you are spending time on your plate, regardless of what you're doing, it's going to make those bones stronger. It's going to make those muscles stronger. If you're willing to squat a little or, add some arm movements, anything that you bring to the table is obviously going to enhance and bring more benefits. And for those of you like me that like to reduce your exercise time, perhaps you've got other self-care that you've got to deal with, other conditions, you can get those muscles to a level of fatigue very, very quickly, adding mass to the very simple exercises that you may be doing. And 9 times out of 10, whether you're dealing with a medical issue, a chronic issue, an injury, whatever it is that you may be dealing with, I've got a lot of questions lately about, well, can I use a vibration machine? It's not a yes or no thing. It's, can you be active? Should you be lifting weights? This is to a degree depending on you and how much you're weighing and how much you wish to lift. Sometimes it's a matter of making sure that even lifting weights is something that's appropriate. And, we all think about running to the doctor when we have our vibration machine questions, but we, simplify. Common sense needs to come back into the building. This is just an exercise tool. What you need to be discussing with your doctor and your therapist is, I'd like to be active. Are there things that I should be avoiding? If I'm considering weights or, sometimes something like a weight vest, you're making yourself a little bit heavier. It's not maybe considered strenuous, whereas a kettlebell lifting all of that mass with one small muscle group might be a different thing. Maybe you're okay doing a squat and hanging on to it. Sometimes it's more about the specific exercises related to something you may be dealing with. I see it with a lot of my clients that are dealing with spinal issues. There's certain stretches, some core exercises that, you Google on the internet, and these are great to do, but sometimes they're not great if you're dealing with scoliosis or, you've got degenerative disc or you got some hardware in there. Sometimes it's a matter of understanding exercise is good, but sometimes there's better exercises or stretches for what you're trying to target or what you may be dealing with as far as a deficiency than, just general public kind of stuff. So there's always a way to modify not only the settings on your vibration plate, but very often the actual exercises that you're doing to get more benefit, as well as cater to any deficiencies that you may be dealing with. If you are working with a trainer now, or you've ever worked with a trainer, if you've worked with a therapist, someone that's led you through a regime, a program, a protocol, whatever you want to call it, of, I want you to do these types of exercises this many times a day for this long. If you have something that you are doing now, or you have something more commonly that you're supposed to be doing now at home, because you've got deficiencies or, you've got an old sports injury maybe that you're dealing with, a lot of times you can do those exercises right on the vibration plate. All it's doing is bringing more benefit to the equation, reducing exercise time, effort, and, giving you more benefit through those micro movements, extra lymph, extra circulation, other things while you do those static floor-based exercises on the plate. So again, it's just a tool, never a yes or no. I wish that it was. But I hope even my most chronic users look at today's session and go, I can do that. It's not always about going in for the competition and being the bodybuilder winner. Sometimes it's more about, a realistic starting point and gaining progress to build and work towards more elaborate, more challenging exercises. So I hope that helps. That's my ramble today. Again, I have dropped both the new products, the FlexVest and the PowerStone in the comments. If you want to take a closer look at the dimensions, they are both 30% off. And I want to say hello to whoever has joined me today. I see, again, thanks, Cindy, for joining me. I saw your note just before I went live earlier. Hello, Brenda. Hello, Dave. So nice to see you. I hope you're doing well. That's awesome. Isn't the virtual world like so cool sometimes? I love shaking it up with you guys. Today was simple, sweet, but sometimes a workout is one move. It depends what you're doing with that one move. So don't overcomplicate it. Stop making excuses. I need a new program. I need a new attitude. Pick one thing. And I challenge it to be the squat. For those of you that are watching me right now or on a recorded basis, I will be back here tomorrow, same time, same basement. And I'm going to do in a more advanced session. Like I say, I will be getting down on the ground, starting with some basic warm-ups to make sure I can get back up after I do a few core moves for you guys tomorrow. So I look forward to seeing those of you that are able to join me. If you're not, it's always available on a recorded basis. If you do have any questions, whether it's something you think about now, or perhaps after the live, never hesitate to tag me at Debby with a Y. That way, for sure, I'll get a notification. And if you're watching this on a recorded basis and unable to ask a question, or if you're trying to ask me a question right now and it's not coming through, these lives stream to Lifepro's main Facebook page. If you're watching this on YouTube, please know that it's happening on a recorded basis. But I do check comments from time to time. So never hesitate to tag me. I'll make a comment on each Lifepro YouTube video so you can at least get in touch with me. I recognize that not everybody's on Facebook. Have a great rest of your day, guys, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow on a Friday night. You can be my date. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great rest of your evening.